What's up, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. There is a niche drone market out there, and of course today's video is brought to you guys by gearbeast.com. Go ahead and check out the link below. They decided to send me one of the most interesting drones ever because it falls in a really awkward but niche spot. You see, a lot of people, when they shop for drones, they either go super cheap, where it's those tiny little handheld ones you could put in your hand, where it's like $50 or $60 to maybe like up to $100. And then there's the range where people are like, okay, no, I need some quality. I need a drone that can get me some good shots, maybe stay in the air, return home, do all that stuff. And then they end up spending $500-600 to up to maybe like $1,500, which is absolutely absurd because not everyone has that money to spend. Well, today we're looking at the Hubsan X4 H502S. This comes in around like $200. However, I could say that it gets a little bit cheaper and more expensive here and there. Sometimes you can find it for like $150, other times it's around $250, so it depends on when you are shopping for this particular thing. But I will say this, it's usually out of stock, so that might be a little frustrating as well. But here are some of the coolest things that I found about this drone right off the bat, some of the features. First of all, the remote controller has a full-on screen built directly into it, and of course this thing has a connection back to that remote control, so you can actually see live through the camera, which is kind of hard to find out there. So it does have 5.8G connection FPV. Then of course it also has a 720p camera, which I can't say is the best camera in the world, but let's be real here. For only $200 you're getting yourself a pretty solid camera, especially on a drone that has one of the smallest form factors that I've seen to date. Now, another cool thing you get is a 6-axis gyro. It also comes with headless mode, GPS positioning. Now that is important. You know what that means? It basically means that it could hover, so you don't have to constantly be flying it and pushing it upwards and downwards and left and right. It will use GPS to hover in one spot. Now I will say this, it doesn't hover perfectly. It does move right to left and fight against the wind and go up and down a little bit. But with that said, in a relatively nice area of maybe 5 feet by 5 feet by 5 feet by 5 feet, you're pretty much set to go. It will stay in one spot and usually won't fly away and get stuck into a tree, which has happened to a decent amount of my quadcopters in the past. And then of course it also has one key return to home. Now this is so important. You simply flip a switch, it will remember where it took off and go right back to there when maybe the battery's low, maybe when it's like, uh-oh, we lost signal, let's go back, things like that, which are really useful. It also has a follow me feature. Now I will say this is not the world's greatest feature in the world, since it doesn't usually work, but you know what, when you can get it to work, it is perfectly amazing, and it does follow you around, which is kind of funny and of course kind of interesting to use when it comes to the camera itself, since you could technically see yourself in the FPV remote. Now, of course, what does it come with? Well, of course, the drone, the remote controller itself, 2 batteries, both of which are completely rechargeable. Oh, by the way, the drone itself does have a flight time of only around 7 minutes, which was a little pet peeve of mine, since you do have to go and get a few more batteries if you want some nice, solid daytime. But at the same time, I was like, you know what? This thing can do so much. It's sending a full-on live stream back to the remote, and of course, it is flying itself, hovering, using GPS. So all that included at around $200, and the fact that this thing only has like, it's supporting a bajillion features, but at the same time, it's super good when it comes to using those features. The $200 price tag is perfectly amazing for all of that. Finally, I want to get to my overall experience. I do love this thing since, you know, it is super small, and of course it can fly in the air. It's something that you can maybe toss around and not be like, oh my god, I'm tossing around a $1,500 thing. What do I do if I crash it into a tree and get it stuck? Which does happen to DJIs out there as well. But I feel like if you crash this into a tree, you'd probably be like, you know, it's not that big a deal. I might be able to replace it. It wasn't the world's most expensive thing, since, you know, these are probably like 10 of these are equivalent to one really expensive drone out there, while this can still do majority of the things that maybe a DJI Phantom 4 can do. So of course, with that said, guys, I overall liked it. The only thing that was beyond tedious was maybe the setup procedure. Now this was my ultimate pet peeve. It took forever to set up, and here is why. The blades you have to install in a specific manner, like it says A on one of the blades, and those have to go on A for the drone itself, and you can't just place them onto any old spot. They have to be pushed down in a certain way. They have to be screwed in just tightly enough so it flies, otherwise it just will not fly. Then of course the drone itself, you have to spin it around to collaborate it every single time you want to fly it, and then you have to spin it around a different direction, which makes you look insane. But with that said, that is one of my only pet peeves. Well, once you get through the setup procedure itself, you should have a lot of fun flying this, since you can see where you're going, you can record video, you can take photos, you can of course go ahead and fly it around, maybe race someone else if they have a drone as well, and it can be a lot of fun. So that's my overall opinion. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If so, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe. Go ahead and check out gearbeast.com in the link below. Thank you guys for watching, and this is going to be me logging off.